morning. How are we doing? Talk to me.
Fantastic.
Yep. All right, Mr. Bass, how are you?
Doing fabulous. Doing fabulous.
Jenny,
How are you guys this morning?
Jenny here doing great. All right. Well, I'm excited. We got some first weekly stats to go through this morning. And let me get my screen up here. All right. So we took a stab at pulling the stats out of the MLS. And what we're going to do is we pull these statistics every Monday morning before this call. And while we only have 1 week right now, as we go forward, it's going to give you a richer perspective going forward. And Richard and I were talking prior to this call, and I'd love to hear some feedback because this is new and we're fine tuning it. But what we I'll ask the question here in a second. But what we started with was we pulled Broward County detached, we pulled Broward County condo, we pulled Broward County attached altogether, and then we pulled Broward County townhouse villa. And one of my questions is, do we need to separate condo and townhouse villa, or is everything in attached uh, rich enough data for us? We'll get there, but let's start. So in the last 7 days, there's been 1,093 new active status in the MLS. Now, for clarity, it could be new active listings coming on the market. It could be something that was under contract that went back active, or something that was temporarily off the market, reactive. But the bottom line is there's 1,093 new active status single family properties in Broward County over the last 7 days. I don't know. That seems like quite a bit to me. 1,093 in Broward County in a 7 day total, new properties to show. One of the things that I like about this statistic is if you've got buyers sitting in your pipeline and sometimes you feel like you've seen everything on the market. And if we come on here on a Monday morning and tell you there's almost 1,100 new active properties, I'd feel pretty encouraged by that to go check the MLS this morning and go, is there something new my buyer hadn't seen yet, right? And it also gives us a indication around where inventory is going. Are people putting their houses up? Are people locked in? Are people moving in terms of the seller side? Active under contract, 170 people said yes to the house in Broward County in the last 7 days. And I think I don't have a grip just yet if that's good, bad, high, low. We will see it as we start to track these numbers. But 170 people saying yes to the house is a good thing, right? And then there's 16 coming soons. Currently in Broward County, there's 176 properties that are in the pending status, right? That have switched to pending in the last 7 days. And then there were 234 properties closed in the last 7 days in Broward County. So pretty healthy closing number. We had 40 withdrawn, 64 expired, and 108 canceled. So that's almost 200 listings, single family listings in the last 7 days that are now in that pool of expired listing, withdrawn, canceled listing category. Rick, you've been looking at these numbers with me for a while in other parts of the world. Any comments?
I mean, the active under contract and pending numbers look strong. Can someone clarify the difference between withdrawn and canceled? That's a term we don't use as often.
Yeah, canceled is the absolute release of the listing agreement. So your seller can basically go out tomorrow, sell the house on their own, relist with somebody else. Withdrawn keeps your listing agreement in effect, but you are withdrawing it from active sale in the MLS.
So you
Got it.
might do
So
that
you're
during, like if
protected
you
as
had
the
family in
listing.
town or just a short-term break from actively marketing.
That's a totally different category called TMP, temporarily off the market. Sellers going on vacation for 2 weeks. I don't want to show
Okay.
my house while I'm gone, or I had a flood, I've got to fix it. No, withdrawn is generally you have a disagreement with the seller. I don't want to sell my house. I'm not working with you. I'm not selling my house. Fine, we'll take it off the market. However, you're not allowed to go and sell it on your own or sell it to somebody else. I get paid.
I got
Here,
you. Still
here's the
under a
difference I
protected
point out to
status.
all of our agents, though, Rick. If you are prospecting expireds, you can also prospect canceled. Very important to know you cannot prospect withdrawn because they still have an active listing agreement.
Perfect
All
sense.
right. So
I
in
fully
that
get it.
context, Richard, we've got 172 new prospectable properties in this 7-day total in
Correct.
Broward County, just single
Yeah.
family. All
And
right.
if
So if
Just
I
the
jump over to condo, there's 247 that moved to the active status in the last 7 days. 82 went under contract. I find that a little encouraging. I don't know yet, but it feels like 82 is if you look at single family and there was 170 and 82 went under contract for condos, that seems to be a healthy number to me, but I don't have perspective yet. As we get richer data as we go forward, we'll find out. Dave, you're shaking your head no. Is that a low number? You're
Your
muted.
mic's muted.
Sorry, y'all.
Hey.
I just think that's a really low number because if we look at our condo inventory, the condo inventory is up about 300% year over year. And when we're looking at these numbers, they're pretty small numbers to be in a county of 1,000,007 people. So I kind of disagree with it being healthy. That's 247 new condo listings, but when you and what went under contract, 82 and 59 this past week. But when you look at the sheer volume of condos on the market right now, I don't think that's healthy.
Okay. I'm going to put a pin in it for now because the only comment I would make is remember this is 7-day total, right?
Of course,
So,
yes.
yeah. So we'll see, right? Like I think we keep this conversation going on as we get smarter about the market together, right? One coming soon, 59 pending, 86 closed out in the last 7 days. And then to this conversation around expired, there's 183 that are now prospectable, potential expired, canceled listings, right? In the
That to me
condo
is the
market.
most telling. That's the most telling figure here from what I can see with literally a 1 week snapshot is that you've got as many expired and canceled as there are actively listed. So either they're rolling back in fast with a new agent or maybe they relist with their current agent. Or clearly things aren't moving off the shelf as a whole. So
Perfect.
supporting Dave's perspective.
All right. So Dave, since you're talking to us here, townhouse, villa, condo are all attached. What's the most appropriate status for us to be tracking?
Personally, I think I would separate out the condo and the townhouse from the condos because it's the condos, it's the buildings that are having the largest challenges with the assessments, with the insurance issues, with being non-warrantable that you can't get mortgages on them. I think that really for us to dig down and have the best knowledge, separating the townhouses and the condos from each other would be the
Yeah,
way to go.
that I agree. I think that was the conversation I had last week to separate these out. So just in that context, on the townhouse villa, Broward County, 52 went to active status, 21 went under contract in the last 7 days, 20 are currently pending, 26 closed out in the last 7 days, and then looks like 31 or new prospectable listings, if that's your business model, right? All right. Dade County, We had 856 go active in the last 7 days in single family. We had 116 say yes to the house. We had 7 coming soon, 153 pending, 188 closed out in the last 7 days, and then 28 withdrawn, 56 expired, and 110 canceled. So 166 uh, failed listings, if you will, in Dade County. If I look at condos in Dade County, we had 300 new active. 55 went under contract, which seems low to me, Dave. There's 74 coming soon, which is a big, big number of coming soons. 44 pending, 74 closed out, and then 97 and 111. So 298 canceled. Then the villas and the townhouses, we had 72 go active, 20 go under contract, 11 are pending, 31 closed out in the last 7 days, and then 7 and 18. So 25 expired, canceled. Now, couple things that I would challenge you to think about when you're looking at these. So if I just go to Dade detached, and if I'm an agent and I feel like I'm banging my head against the wall a little bit, or I can't seem to get traction going in my business, or I'm stalled out a little bit, um, this should be an encouraging number to you that 116 people are out buying houses right now in Dade County. In Broward County, we had 170 that went out and bought houses in the last 7 days. So there's movement going on. Yeah.
It's actually more than that because you have to look at the active under contracts and the pendings together.
Well, but I'm saying just in the last 7 days, Dave.
These are pendings that you pulled from the last 7 days, correct? Because
Yeah.
that
So if they didn't go
yeah.
under, active under, yeah.
Yeah, so active under contract and pending here usually mean the same thing, except when you put it active under contract, it still shows active on Zillow and your phone still rings. That's the only difference.
Well, but in the MLS, is it not two different statuses?
It is, but they really mean the same thing.
It's semantics of how it's put into the MLS.
Yeah.
Pending means you're under contract, but you're not allowing the house to be shown anymore. Active under contract, you've got a contract, but there might be contingencies on it. So, go ahead and keep bringing more buyers to it. We'll take backup offers. The two of them are basically the same thing. What Dave is saying, if you look at it, you combine those numbers, you've got, 346 properties, almost a third of what showed up new went under contract.
So that's
Awesome.
better.
Dave, when you look at that, what does that tell you?
Well, it's telling me that it's telling me that good houses priced well are selling. At least a third of the new inventory is selling. Yeah, I saw a line this weekend. I don't know if y'all looked at your socials, but sellers have two choices: lower the price or keep the house.
Yep.
That's the market we're in, and it's even more so in condos.
Perfect.
And where I thought Brett was going was that no matter what the market is, there's no good or bad market. There's just a market, and that there are still winners. And are you getting your unfair share of the opportunity and attacking what is available?
Yeah. Shirley said people are buying and selling. I 100% agree, Shirley. But with the correct pricing, the right positioning, the right staging, all that stuff, right? All right. Palm Beach, we had 850 active, go active, 163 and 132 on the pendings. We had 1 coming soon, 239 closed out in single family, and 223 expired or canceled. On the condos in Palm Beach, 162 went active, 58 and 41 went into a pending status, 53 closed out, and 61 and 58 for 100 and what's that, 119 On the townhouse villa, 91 active, 36 and 18 went pending, 7 coming soon, 51 closed out, and then 17 and 18 went failed listings. So I want to point out, we will have this up this week, but when you go to the realestatestats.com, right now, Florida Stats doesn't have the drop down arrow. We'll have it up probably by tomorrow. And when you click the drop down arrow, you'll see it'll say stats by county, and you'll have a direct link to this spreadsheet. So you'll always have our spreadsheet. We just keep it on the realestatestats.com. Richard, Alan, anybody, Jenny, what do you think when you see these numbers? Talk to me. Steve on
I
here?
think as time goes on, Brett, this becomes more and more valuable to the agents. When we're looking, the chart master that we get monthly and then quarterly shows us trends. By looking at this weekly now, you will be right on top of a trend as it's happening. These are fabulous numbers.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Anybody else?
yeah, I agree as well. I was actually, Dave, I saw those 2 lines this morning, and I had a whole conversation with someone online. And I disagreed with the statement about sellers are either buying out or backing out or having to reduce. We all know if it's priced right the first time around, multiple offers are still out there. The numbers that the buyers are still there and pending sales and closed sales, to me, in the last 7 days, whether it be Broward, Dade, I was shocked with, but even Palm Beach County and Broward, they're out there. We just we need to see the opportunity, make sure we get the numbers right, and we can help it just grow and get better, because it's not like the buyers are under a rock anymore.
Yep, for sure. In the chat, Alex said there was also an article that was published that many of the canceled listings were due to the sellers that had equity in their property. And since they were not getting the price that they were expecting, decided to pull it off the market until the market improves. Rick, what was that quote you heard?
It was from a team leader in Naples. I was meeting with him and consulting a little, and he just said, "You can't steal from the rich." And what he was basically saying is they're not desperate. Like people who own property down here, if they get their number, they do, and it's rare that there's a desperate sale or some kind of wholesale liquidation.
They'll sit on it because they don't need the money.
Well, that's exactly what was typed. That was the comment exactly. They don't get their
All
number, they'll
right.
just wait it out. And now they're, hey, if they can get it all tax free, we'll see. That's one of the articles.
All right, I want to introduce you to a new stat. So there's a stat called a Zillow's Market Heat Index. And Zillow, right or wrong, probably has some of the best intel to the industry because they have the data, but they also have the leading indicators of how much people are looking at properties online. And they do this thing called a market heat index. And I looked through this entire list. Fort Lauderdale is not on the list for some reason, but Miami is. So that's why I've got Miami up.
They
And
consider us Miami. Zillow
yeah,
considers.
I think they do. So it's got, oh, hang on, that's the US. Well, actually, that's probably a good place to start. So the US, if you read national news, is probably talking about a neutral real estate market. Well, that there's a contrast going on between our market and the US market. And if I get down here to Miami, Florida, it shows us in a buyer's market. And what does that mean? Well, it in by definition means buyers have the power at the negotiation table. However, I can tell you if you've been in the market for any length of time, your sellers don't agree with that statement. And so the other crazy thing, um, Dave, do you have a listing?
Actually, I just had 2 expired, and those were the first time I've had an expired listing in 17 years. So no, I don't have anything right now. I just sold everything
All
or
right.
expired.
So let's do this. Fort Lauderdale. All right. So if you're not aware of this, you need to be aware of this. So if I just pick a listing, not that cheap. All right. So Zillow on some of the listings, it's not on all their listings, but down here in the uh further down their listing, they have offer insights. And they have this whole thing about unlock with more buyability. Tell us a few details to get personalized offer insights. They literally take the stats, the market heat index and other statistics and tell the consumer what a strong offer would look like. Now, mind you, this house is listed for 7.25, 725. And on their website, they're telling a strong offer is 671. So if you're not aware of this, your buyers are seeing this. And then they say, oh, okay, a competitive offer would be 650 to 670, a moderate offer, a weak offer. I'm not saying it's accurate, but I'm saying you better be aware that your buyers are seeing this. And Zillow is actually trying to take the data points that we're talking about and put it into dollars and cents for the consumer. Now, what would I do with this? So I'm not logged in or it would unlock what their data points are. So, for one, I think this is something you could use for price reductions on listings. And show the seller what Zillow is saying about their house to potential buyers. Two, I think this is something you could use when an offer comes in to help sellers deal with the shock of the offer price. And three, I think you absolutely should be aware of this if you're working with a buyer because they're seeing this. No different than when the Zestimate came out and you went on listing presentations, you better believe that seller saw the Zestimate before you ever got to the kitchen table, right? This is just a buyer's side Zestimate on listings, just FYI. And it speaks to this whole heat index of Zillow's got some pretty interesting intel around data, just FYI. All right.
Well, it'll only, Brett,
Go
it'll
ahead.
only get better over time as AI continues to improve and they're able to scrub, non-essential information that screws it up. But at the end of the day, you're exactly right. Your consumers are looking at it, and you better have better data and a better narrative if you're going to compel people to spend more money. And to your point, sellers do need to realize buyers do see this, and then they don't recognize the gap between fantasy and reality. And in some cases, it's spot on. In some cases, it's a mile away. And that's where your professionalism shows up strong.
100%. Richard, y'all talked about that before?
Talk about it constantly. It's something that I've taught agents when they're taking a listing. They get a phone call, come out, list my house. First thing you do is go in and you pull the tax records so you know who you're talking to and what's in the tax records. Second thing you do is you go to Zillow, put in the address of the property, and you see what Zillow has to say. Because every seller has been following Zillow before they're ready to put their house on the market. You need to know what you're going up against. But here's one of my problems with this with Zillow, and you might be able to correct me. You've been looking at this. This isn't breaking out your single family home from your condos. This is the overall market. So you're looking at
100%.
Miami, and you know that we're in a horrendous condo market right now, which is what's pushed this into the buyer's market. If you're looking at or selling a single family home, this isn't necessarily true. So you've got to be prepared with that information when you're going out and talking to either a seller or a buyer to show them what the reality is.
Yep, for sure. Because it's just like when we were pulling our stats, we're trying to get it's drilled down in the statistics that make them usable to you. But the reality is they're pulling the whole stinking market: condos, single family villas, townhomes, on the water, off the water, all that stuff, right?
Yep. Yeah,
All
the,
right.
the algorithms that Zillow uses are not accurate enough to price a home or to work with the
Correct.
buyer as to what they should come up with. That's what we have to do as real estate experts. It's our background, it's our MLS, the information that you can go into deep, looking at the photographs of, what makes one house different from another. That's going to set a price on it. The computers cannot do that right now.
Yeah,
And
they're
you're
not.
right, Rick, AI is getting better and better, but it's still not there.
Yeah,
Nope.
they're not standing on the back porch of, or back, patio of one unit versus another, because there are significant differences 2 floors up and angled left or right based on a sunset.
Yep.
Yep. All right. So, FYI, if you hadn't changed your MLS password, you probably have to. There was a compromise access, and Matrix was one of the MLS platforms that forced everybody to change their password. But there's a cool thing inside this article I wanted to point out real quick. So it says the compromise access hit multiple listing service software providers, Flex MLS and Matrix, the latter of which is created and managed by Cotality, the company formerly known as CoreLogic. So Matrix uh, is owned by the company CoreLogic, which is now called Cotality. And I want you to think about how much data is inside of Matrix. It's like we can't get our brain wrapped around that. Cotality is a sister company to Keller Williams now. Cotality is owned by Stone Point Capital. So I know personally from Gary's mouth to my ears that he is meeting with them, trying to figure out how to create partnerships around data behind the scenes to bring more access to us. And I'm excited about that. I read that. I didn't know Matrix was owned by them until I read this article. And I know everybody's probably annoyed you had to change your MLS password. You're not alone. All right. Next thing, I'm going to buzz through some of these articles quick for time, but I wanted to just make sure you'll have access to all these articles. But this article talks about conferences are gold mine if you know how to film them. We're all about to go to San Antonio for Mega Agent Camp. And one of the perspectives in this article talks about how conferences allow you to film incredible content and store it for social media. So you're able to film you in front of a giant audience. You're able to create video content. You're able to, it says it's evergreen, meaning the content you film could be repurposed for months or even years. So it's a great social media place to film content. And they're saying you can just use your iPhone. The other thing they're talking about is you could film conversations with vendors that you use the products. So if there is a tech piece to your platform that you use in your business, you could create an interview with the vendor in the vendor hall and use that as value in social media, talking about your unique value proposition as a real estate professional. I thought this was a brilliant article and very timely as we're about to head out to a real estate conference. And whether you go to Inman or you go to NAR or you go to a conference locally or Mega Agent Camp, it's just a reminder that those are incredible opportunities for you to start creating social media content. Um, let's see.
Brett, I agree with that. I love
Yeah.
that as well. And I think the best part about it is how much they focus on it being evergreen, right? So it doesn't just have to be after the event. You can get so much material. If you guys don't know what evergreen means, it means you can use it over and over. There's no timestamp on it.
What do they call it, stock reel or stock footage or
Evergreen.
right?
It just,
B-roll.
Yeah.
it's timeless. That's what
Timeless,
it
right.
Timeless.
essentially.
Right.
This article, why collaboration and cooperation are the future of real estate. You know, we made this statement that this is a big part of the value proposition of the Inspire Network is collaboration over competition. Yet they really talk about how when you're in real estate, you can create informal alliances, meaning you go on vacation, who's a partnered agent to you that picks up your business when you're out of town? You're a partner agent to them when they're out of town. The power of a collective of being on a real estate team, why that collaboration is so powerful, collective market analysis. I had an agent recently that had a $2.5 million listing, but there weren't really any comps on the market for them to price it appropriately. So they invited all the top agents to come preview and give a price opinion. That collaboration, that collective market analysis approach is a big cornerstone of how we're going to navigate the future, right? I think that collaboration and cooperation are the future of how we're going to navigate real estate going forward. And I just thought this article was very timely. And then this article on Housing Wire, I wanted to position this real quickly is housing inventory growth is starting to stall and the seasonal decline of new listings is underway. So what does that mean? It means most people, there is a truth to real estate which talks about the spring and summer selling season. So inventory will start to come down as we get to the end of the year. And is that a good or a bad thing? Well, if I have a buyer that's looking for a house and I have nothing to show them, it's a bad thing. But if I have a seller that is wanting to sell in the second half of the year, the competition might be not as steep in the second half of the year as it was in the first half of the year, just because as inventory starts to come down a little bit. The other thing in here, this article, they talked about, you're seeing inventory here, and this was 2019, and you can see how in the summer months it was high and then it came down towards the end of the year. The rest of these years I would ignore. These are anomaly years, pandemic years. This 2019 year is what a historically normal real estate year looks like. And this dark red line is 2025. And I'm expecting it to follow the same trend as 2019. So that's just something to be aware of as we move into the second half of the year here. And I'll send you these other articles. We're 3 minutes over time. Corey, do you have the social media scripts? Can you pop them in the chat?
I sure can, and I'll send them out as well.
Thanks, Corey.
Perfect. Any questions, guys? We went through a lot. We'll go through the numbers faster so we can get more into the articles next week, but it was new data, new stats. So I wanted to make sure we were spending a little time giving you the story behind it.
And I love the disclaimer, Brett, that, we're both new to your market. So over time, the data, it's the truth is coming. And so we're kind of throwing darts to some degree without that counterbalance perspective that you bring. So we appreciate those that jumped in and shared and commented. So thanks, Dave and team. And, one thought I had is the evergreen clips. Like, if I were to go to your social feed, would it be obvious that you're the economist of choice for your market area? And are you the marketing expert for your area? As a third party outsider looking in, maybe take a moment this week, and take a look at, what would I find if I went looking for an agent in your market area? And does it speak exactly the way you want to be presented? Because that's something you can change literally with the support of the social, the thing that Corey just posted, and some conscientious, attentive effort.
Perfect.
I
Rich,
also
you're
want
the
to
wise
remind
one.
everybody
Yeah.
that tomorrow morning we have our quarterly stats presentation. A lot of this is going to be going over in much the same way, trying to put the information into perspective for you as to what's going on in the market here today. I'm also, for the first time, bringing in a special guest to do the presentation with me, with over 40 years of experience in our local markets, having done thousands of real estate transactions. So that'll give you a totally different perspective as to what's going on. So hope
Are
to
you
see all of you tomorrow morning.
Are you teasing that or telling us who it is?
Nope, teasing that. You got to
Okay.
come tomorrow, find out
So
who
your
it
wife's
is.
coming.
I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.
Man,
Bye, guys.
Richard
Bye-bye.
crushing it. Now I gotta go. That's awesome.
Have a great day, guys.
Bye,
See ya.
guys.